What is up, everyone? I hope you're doing well today. This is Raphael Garcia here on episode number 68 of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. Today is Thursday, September 3rd, and we are almost through with 2020, folks. But not quite. Yeah, we got a little bit left to get out the way, so let's hope that we can straighten things out before the year ends. But before I jump into talking about professional wrestling this week, I want to take care of some housekeeping notes. As always, my name is Rafael Garcia. I am one of the writers for MMAratings.net, which is where you can find all of our content about combat sports, boxing, MMA, a little professional wrestling, mostly UFC, boxing, or excuse me, Bellator and with a little bit of one, some glory every now and then. So we cover as much combat sports as we possibly can. You can check out our social media handles where our content gets shared. MMA Ratings Net on Instagram and Twitter. You can catch us on Anchor, SoundCloud, Anchor, uh, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Apple iTunes, and our YouTube channel, MMA Ratings. That's where you can find us all. Me, you can catch me at rgarcia_sports, where I'm always ranting, raving about just nearly anything to do with pro wrestling, MMA, what else? Cartoons, Black Lives Matter, all types of shenanigans that you may or may not enjoy, but still you can check me out. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about two main topics, specifically WWE content like I do every week, and also doing a preview of AEW All Out, which is this weekend on Saturday. I'm watching that card from start to finish, so we're going to start there with that preview because there's a lot that I want to talk about from this weekend show. Excuse me, I've tried to catch it, but couldn't hit pause soon enough. So, as I usually do with these pay-per-view previews, I want to focus on the matches that I care about because there are some on this card for AEW All Out that I do not care about at all. And I saw some back and forth on Twitter, I believe yesterday after AEW Dynamite went off, where there are individuals who believe that the go home show on Wednesday wasn't good enough to sell this weekend's pay per view. And I think that that's an interesting thought there. The numbers for Wednesday's show, I think they did 969K in viewers. AEW's been doing consistently between like 760 and 860 over the last few weeks. This week, Wednesday, they ran unopposed because WWE was not preempted, but WWE was moved because of the NHL playoffs. They're moved next week as well too, where they will be back on Tuesdays. But I think this is an interesting conversation that we should have when it comes to whether or not they did enough to sell this show. Now, we will never hear what the actual pay-per-view buys are. You'll get your predictions or your estimations from Dave Meltzer. Not quite sure how valuable those are nowadays because we know about his commentary. Um, you know about his commentary and how he just is really pro AEW in some ways, and it's getting more and more apparent now, and a lot of people are talking about that, discussing that. I really don't care so much. I just think it's interesting to watch. It's a situation where people want to complain about just as much as they possibly can when it comes to professional wrestling. But we will be breaking down the show tonight, but I'm going to keep a very close eye on anything I hear about those pay-per-view buy rates because I think that will show us something interesting. I think it's going to do well. I think it's going to do fine. But again, like I said, we'll never know what those true numbers are, not in today's day and age. I saw something interesting too this week about how Nielsen admits that their ratings calculations or the way they track ratings are basically outdated. I want to go back and read that. I saw the headline. I saw people talking about it. I didn't get to read it for myself, but I think it's something very worth reading about because so many people are complaining and talking about ratings, whether it's President Trump talking about the NBA's ratings or his own ratings, or wrestling fans talking about Wednesday nights or Monday and Friday. So I want to see what Nielsen had to say about their own archaic ratings, television ratings tracking methods, but can't do any of that now because I want to talk about All Out. And there's a couple of matches on this card I do not give a fuck about, and we're going to start with those because I'm going to start with them by saying I don't give a fuck about these matches. Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara, don't care. Jurassic Express versus the Young Bucks. This has some ramifications because of the tag team element around the Young Bucks and being the elite. We'll talk about that probably more when we look at the Kenny Omega Adam Page match. But just this tag team match here, it'll be it'll be fine. I'll watch it, but I don't care about this. The Dark Order versus Dustin Rhodes, Matt Cardona, and Scorpio Sky. Yeah, I mean, okay. Brody Lee took the title off of Cody. He's now the AEW TNT champion. And I get, why he was elevated. I didn't see the match from a couple Saturdays ago, but it was a flat out squash, and now they have the title on him, and he's looking to be that heel type of champion. I just don't want to see. I really don't want to see Scorpio Sky eat a pin here. I hope it's Dustin Rhodes. I have a bad feeling it's going to be Sky though, and I don't want to see that happen because Sky is someone that I wanted to see them treat with some type of intention that they plan on building him into a star or someone that people like me would be interested in seeing. It seemed like they were doing that on Dynamite or AEW Dark. He lost that match to Cody, and now he's in this feud with the Dark Order, but the Dark Order are really surging, so we don't really know what that means for him. You also have Cardona, the formerly known as Zack Ryder, coming over from WWE. I don't know what to expect from this call up. I think this is going to be maybe even worse than the Shawn Spears one. But I'm just not excited to see him. You knew he was going to end up here at some point in time. I'm just not excited to see him in any way. Same thing with Dustin Rhodes and Dark Order as well. There's nothing interesting to me about this match. In fact, in my opinion, all three of these matches could be on the buy-in, which is their pre-show, but instead they put the first match that I'm interested in, Britt Baker versus Big Swole, on the pre-show. Now, even though this is going to be a cinematic match, I still think it's a bad decision to put this show, not have this show on the main pay-per-view. First and foremost, they know that they're going to get heat for not including the women's match on the pay-per-view. Right now they only have Hikaru Shida versus Thunder Rosa. We'll talk about that later. But to just not include another women's match on the card, they're going to get heat over that because of the way that they've been booking the women's division. Is it fair? Is it legit? I don't care about that piece because I'm not going to dive down that rabbit hole. But I'm just saying they're going to get heat for this match not being on the main card. It is a cinematic match, so it's going to be something different. I am looking forward to that piece. I expect Britt Baker to win because we all know that they want to strap the title to her and get it on her at some point in time. But I really wish we would get to see these two women in the ring in a traditional match. Maybe it's because Baker is still a little bit banged up with that knee injury and she won't be able to do as much, which I understand and I respect that they're using this method to protect her. I think it's very smart. But I want to see Big Swole cook. That's my thing now. Let these women cook. Let Big Swole cook and let her do her thing. So the first match that I pseudo care about is a 21-man casino battle royal. And who is in this? We have Darby Allin, Lance Archer, Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, Pentagon Jr., Ray Phoenix, The Butcher, The Blade, Eddie Kingston, Shawn Spears, Billy Gunn, Austin Gunn, Jake Hager, Santana Ortiz, Chuck Taylor, Trent, and one other individual TBD. I don't know. Maybe it's Rusev. Maybe Rusev Day is coming to AEW. Maybe it's Brock Lesnar. Who knows? I'm just being an asshole right now, but I have no idea. And I haven't looked into any speculation around who this man will be. So the hook around this is that the winner gets a title shot in the future. basically their version of the Royal Rumble with some rule changes mixed in. Looking at this list here, who's the current champion? Jon Moxley. Looking at this group here, who do I think could come out? Probably Darby Allin. I would like to see Eddie Kingston win it just because he's something so different. But maybe I'm expecting him or Darby Allin. If that TBD is Pac, inject that shit right into my veins. As I've said many times on this show, as I said on Twitter, as I've said anywhere that people will hear me say it. Anytime Pac is on television, AEW can get me to turn the channel. Pac, Ricky Starks, Big Swole, Hikaru Shida. I will flip the channel and watch AEW over 97% of the stuff that WWE puts on. So I can hope. I'm going to hold on to hope a little bit that he may be that TBD. But if not him, I'm expecting either Darby Allin or Eddie Kingston to win this match. Neither one of those two guys I can see them ever being an AEW champion. We have the women's championship match. Hikaru Shida is defending her title against the NWA Women's World Champion, Thunder Rosa. I think I said that right. She is the current NWA Women's Champion. NWA is shut down right now from taping, obviously because of the coronavirus and that situation going on. So let's see what that looks like. I wrote about this week. I believe that Shida should lose the title here to Rosa just for a surprise finish. In my opinion, I love I love Hikaru Shida. I think she's great, but I think putting that title on Thunder Rosa creates an immediate impact of surprise that makes it makes it very difficult to anticipate what AEW is going to do. Remember, they have other people on their roster who are champions in other promotions. You have Jon Moxley, who's the New Japan IWGP United States champion. You have Kenny Omega, who's a AAA Mega champion. He actually defended that belt on AEW Dynamite, I think right when the pandemic started, or maybe right before. But he's a double champion. So if they took Rosa and elevated her immediately, and put that belt on her, I think it would be fantastic. She's the exact type of woman that they need in their women's division. She can go, she can talk on the mic, she looks good, she's tough as shit. I mean, yeah, she lost her MMA debut. She's supposed to fight again. I mean, Combat Americas, that's kind of what they do. They bring in people for those types of fights. I think they were trying to sign Sexy Star for a minute too. It's not that great of a promotion. However, she being Rosa, I believe fits in the AEW space. I think she's excellent for that group. I would love to see them put the title on her. I don't think they do. I think they keep the belt on Shida, which, okay, whatever, it is what it is. But in my opinion, that belt needs to go around um, Thunder Rosa's waist on Saturday. That is my main event. That's the match that I'm most interested in. That's the match I'm most anticipated in, or hotly anticipating. I just think it's going to be a great match between two women who can wrestle if they're given the time to cook. I hope they're given 15 minutes or so. I don't want to see them get 3 minutes and then that be it. I want to see them, like I'm saying about everyone else, I want to see them be able to go in there and cook and not just be given like a couple of minutes for their match. So let's see, who else am I talking about on this card? Kenny Omega, actually before I talk about the tag team match, Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy. This is one where I'm right on the fringe of not caring. I'm a little bit tired of Jericho. I like Cassidy, but I would like to see him be dealing with someone else. Jericho's a bit, he's just too much for me right now. I'm not a fan of his work. How can I put this into words? I've always been a Chris Jericho guy, as long as I've been watching pro wrestling, as long as I can remember first time stumbling upon him and his work. His All Lives Matter coronavirus stuff offline has been a little bit off-putting. Every I feel like there's a lot of professional wrestlers that will still have that angle that we don't know about, who are just doing a good job of keeping their mouths shut. You see it all across all professional sports where you have people come out and you hope for the best, but they come out with ignorance coming out of their mouth, and you just gotta decide, okay, well, am I immediately not a fan of this guy, or do I just kind of suck it up and take this L? I'm kind of on the side of taking the L when it comes to Jericho and just still trying to be some type of fan with him. Either way, he's still getting on my damn nerves. He's like that uncle that keeps telling jokes and won't stop telling jokes so you can go about your day. So I really believe that Cassidy is going to win this match, and I get why. I get they want to elevate Orange Cassidy, and that's one thing Jericho's great for. He will elevate people. He's done it so many times in his career. You know, he helped elevate Kevin Owens when he came onto the WWE main roster with the whole what is it? What do they call it? The Y2J KO show, whatever, the Festival of Friendship and all that good stuff. Yeah, he did that for Kevin Owens, and now seeing him in AEW, he's going to continue elevating the guys here who need it right now. That's Cassidy. So much so that I actually was talking to someone this past week who doesn't watch wrestling pretty much, and she was saying that she's down to watch wrestling anytime, and she thinks it's cool, especially that guy who wrestles in jeans. And I thought first she was talking about John Cena, and I'm like, oh yeah, you mean this guy? She goes, no, not John Cena, the guy who wrestles in jeans with his hands in his pockets. And I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. She's talking about Orange Cassidy. So he has the potential. And this is someone who doesn't, and she was not a wrestling fan. He has the potential to be a bigger star than we are expecting. And this is how they're going to get him there if he finds a way to beat Jericho and they make those moments in that match big. The tag team title match, Kenny Omega and Adam Page going up against FTR. This is the match I am most interested in. Or second match after Shida Rosa. The thing about this one is I know the in-ring work is going to be great. We know that, even if I'm not the biggest fan of FTR. But the thing that stands out to me is I have no idea what the finish of this match is going to be. Adam Page cost the Bucks 2 weeks ago by holding their leg. He's kicked out of the Elite by Nick. We don't know what Kenny feels about that. We know that they pseudo talked about it on Wednesday in the ring, but they keep hinting at animosity towards between Page and Omega. I think Kenny's going to be the one to turn. I really think Kenny is going to be the one to turn. And what I think is going to happen is that Adam Page is going to join FTR with Cody, and they're going to become some iteration of the Four Horsemen. That's where I think they're heading. Because what I believe we're going to see in some time in the future is a heel Kenny Omega against Jon Moxley at some point in time. I don't know if it'll be for the belt. I don't know if it'll be like a second tier story or something like that. Either way, I think we're going that way for Kenny Omega. First, he has to lose that tag team title, and I think this is an opportunity for him to lose that. But I do not believe that Page is going to be the one to turn. I think it's going to be Kenny. I think we're going to see some other type of stable formed in the near future. But the in-ring work for this match is going to be great. We know that. It's going to be stellar from start to finish. So let's just go ahead and strap ourselves in and buckle up for that one because it's going to be fantastic. Then we have Jon Moxley versus MJF. Again, this is another one that I'm not quite sure in how is it going to end. I think MJF is going to win that belt. That's really just kind of been where I am to start. I just think that it's going to be that it's MJF's quote unquote time. And with the way they've treated other challengers for Moxley, where Moxley beats them and they immediately go back to the main mid card and not do anything, I don't think they want to do that to MJF. I don't think they want to de-escalate him in that way. Not de-escalate, de-elevate him, deregulate, what's the word? What's the word when a soccer team gets moved from one league to the other? It's not regulation. It's not relegate. They don't want to relegate him in that way. So let's see. But I think Moxley's going to win, and I think he's going to retain the title. I think Moxley's going to lose, and I think that MJF is going to be the champion for a little while. I think Moxley's going to chase again, but I can see him dropping that belt. So that's AEW. Let's move over to WWE content for this week, and I want to start with NXT because it's always the better show to me out of the 3 or 4, depending on how much you watch of WWE content. And the big story coming out of that was a fatal 4-way between Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, and Finn Balor. It was a match that ended in a 2-2 draw between Balor and Cole, with Gargano and Ciampa having 1 pin each. I've seen pretty mixed reviews about this match. There are some who enjoyed it. There are some who thought it was boring. I thought they were going to go in a different direction with this. I thought they were going to go more towards, it'll be like a 4-5 type of, it'll be a situation where everyone had at least 3 pins. That's the direction I thought that they were going in. But they went with a much slower pace. Everyone has 1, then we get 2 at the end. What I liked about this match is that it allowed the guys to do some different things with their arsenal, I believe, in my opinion. They didn't get to break out the full catalog. Like this isn't like the versus the versus showcases where you got hip hop artists breaking out the full catalog, dusting off the vinyl to shut down their opponent. This wasn't that, but they got to dust off a little bit of the arsenal and bring it to the forefront during this match. I think they could have done more with it though. They set up Cole versus Balor next week, and they're already promoting that, which I think is what they need to be doing. I wrote about this maybe last month. That WWE is not promoting their content well. They're not promoting and making us excited about what is to come. That's AEW. The minute their Dynamite ends, and actually before they go off the air, they're telling you these are the 4 to 5 matches to look out for next week. There's none of that impromptu bullshit where you have impromptu matches that just get thrown together. And WWE does that because they have no idea what's going to happen with the script if they try to pre-plan. I am at least pleased that they took the time to pre-plan this match for next week. And at least pre-promote it. They've missed the boat with Finn Balor, with putting him in situations against AJ Styles, against Adam Cole now. They missed putting it to that. There's a story to tell there that WWE doesn't want to acknowledge. They probably won't consistently acknowledge it or fully acknowledge it. But there's a story to tell about both of these men being members of the Bullet Club, Finn being a part of the original group, and then Adam Cole being a part of the elite that was a bridge part of the Bullet Club, and how all of that went down. There's a story to be told there that needs to be told. So we'll see what that looks like. In my opinion, the belt has to go on Finn Balor. It has to. Because it's putting it back on Cole is too much of the same. We've seen that. We've been there. We've done that. We don't want to go back to that. There's news about NXT potentially moving to Tuesdays. I don't think it'll be anytime soon. But putting the belt on Balor, what I believe will create excitement and get people invested in watching if that shift comes down the line. I think they put the belt on him, let him hold it for an extended period of time, and then probably drop it back down to Karrion Kross. That's what I see happening. However, I'm not sure if that's really what's going to go down, but the first piece of this is that belt has to go to Balor. Like that's just my thought about that. That's where that belt has to go. What else? Isaiah Swerve Scott pinned Santos Escobar in a six-man tag. This was a great match. I like that they're keeping with Scott versus Escobar. I think that they can elevate each other and that NXT Cruiserweight title. We know about their work together in Lucha Underground, actually. Watching them work together in WWE makes me want to go back and watch them in Lucha Underground some more. We know that they were fantastic there. They're continuing that trend here. Legado del Fantasma. I think they're awesome. At first, I thought it was going to be a corny faction, but they look great as trios. I expect Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza to eventually win the tag team titles, and they hold all of the belts in some way. Santos Escobar, he could be an NXT champion. He doesn't have to be stuck in that cruiserweight division. I think he can be an actual NXT champion as well. If Andrade held the title, I think Escobar can. They're about the same size, at least it looks like it on television. Over with the women's division, we saw Candice LeRae versus Tegan Nox. That's continuing to develop. I think Candice LeRae is the one who's going to take the title off of Io Shirai. I think she's going to take the title from Io. I don't think Io is going to be in NXT much longer. I think she's going to end up going to either Raw or SmackDown. I could see her going to Raw and being a legit challenger to Asuka. So there's that. That's what I think is going to happen for Io. But I think eventually Candice LeRae takes that title off of her and feuds with Rhea Ripley. As far as Ripley goes, she has a cage match this week that everyone is raving about. Everyone wants to see the cage match against Mercedes Martinez. That's on Tuesday. Sign me up for this. I think this is the precursor to Ripley versus Raquel Gonzalez. Sitting here as I think about it now, this is my first time sitting back to wonder who's going to go over in this match because I'm not 110% sure. I'm not right this moment. And that's what I enjoy. I enjoy when I have no idea who's going to win. Both women need the win. I don't think the loss in the cage match hurts anyone. But let's just see what happens. I think Mercedes Martinez versus Rhea Ripley is a match everyone wanted as soon as Mercedes came into NXT. We didn't know we wanted Raquel Gonzalez versus Rhea Ripley so much, but we know we also want that too. Like right now, you're asking me if I want steak and homemade tacos. Like I want both. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to eat both, but these are both excellent choices by their own. Ripley versus Mercedes or Gonzalez, I think they're both going to happen. First up is Mercedes. I don't know. I'm not sure who's going to win in that steel cage match next week. Let's see. Main roster content. Y'all know how I feel about the main roster. I think it's subpar at best. Still, there are a couple things to talk about. Roman Reigns won the Universal title at Payback this past Sunday, and he did it in a way that solidified him as a heel. I guess he waited till the match was halfway over. Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt had basically beat the shit out of each other. Then he comes down, signs a contract with Paul Heyman, middle of the match, runs in, spear, pin. Notice he's not using the Superman punch, which I think is perfect if you're going to be a heel. I don't think he needs to be the snarky, dirty type of heel. I just need him to beat the fuck out of people. Like, just beat people up. That's it. Show up, wreck everyone, and leave. That's it. I don't want to hear any cute catchphrases. I don't let Paul do the talking. He shouldn't even do as much talking. Just let Roman show up, punch people in the mouth, and go about his way. I think that's how you build him up because people want to see him do just that. This weekend, this Friday on SmackDown, there's a 4-man match, a fatal 4-way for the number 1 contendership. Big E, Sheamus, Baron Corbin, and Matt Riddle. Now I saw this and I immediately just shook my head because I don't want to see it. I don't want to see Big E take a pin. I don't want to see Big E win because that means he's going to lose to Roman Reigns. I don't want Baron Corbin to win because we can't go back to that immediately. Sheamus, okay, we're gonna talk about that in a second. And I don't want to see Matt Riddle win because he's just coming off of those sexual assault allegations. So looking at those four individuals right now, Sheamus is the only one who should be considered for the victor of this. I think a tough guy match between Sheamus and Roman Reigns works. I think they had a match years ago where they got into the ring on, I think it was a Monday Night Raw, and they just beat the fuck out of each other. Just beat each other up. Give me more of that. Give me more of that all day, every day. I wanted to throw a shout out there to Kalisto because that man, let that man cook. The same way I said about Big Swole and Hikaru Shida earlier today, let Kalisto cook because that man is pulling some original shit out. When him and Lince Dorado and Grandmaster Elite split up and they have those one-on-one matches, sit down, grab yourself a cloth and be ready to wipe yourself down because he's going to tear it up. People forget he's a two-time United States champion. I told you, you to always forget that he was booked in that way. But I think he is excellent. He's shredded. I want to see this dude get out there and fucking rock the boat. Mickie James, she's being elevated as a potential number one contender to Asuka, and I think that's the route they should go. I don't think James should beat Asuka. I think this should look a lot like their match in NXT this was years ago, when Asuka basically ran through the women's NXT division the first time and there wasn't anyone left. So I would like to see that. I love me some Mickie James. Y'all know that. I love me some Mickie James. She's always been like up there to me, even like way, 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 way back in the day. So I'm always down to see her cook and see her do her damn thing. And I hope she gets a shot at that belt. I hope she stuffs Lana and Natalya in a trunk somewhere and gets them out of our head and out of our sight. The Iconics are leaving our eyesight because they've been broken up. They lost to the Riot Squad. Riot Squad becomes number one contenders. The Iconics have to split up. But if you look at the women's division, women's tag team division, they split up the Iconics. They lost Kairi Sane. They don't do anything with the women on NXT. They've lost Ronda Rousey, so they can't pair her like a Shayna Baszler or any one of those ladies. They do not, they have tag team champions in Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax who aren't friends, so you know that split is coming. They don't care, like they really don't care about tag team wrestling, but they don't care more about women's tag team wrestling. Let's see what that looks like in the future, but there's some work that needs to be done there. We also saw that Randy Orton remains the number one contender for Drew McIntyre. He did so by defeating Keith Lee, Dominic Mysterio, and Seth Rollins. Was Dominic Mysterio? Keith Lee, Dominic Mysterio, and Seth Rollins in a fatal four-way match. I'm glad Keith Lee did not take the pin. That's the most important part. Keith Lee did not take the pin, and he did not need to take the pin at this point in time. He should be allowed to flourish, allow him to keep spirit bombing people through the mat, keep them in undefeated. If they're going to make a legit run with him, as I hear so many of these in the know outlets talk about, he needs to, I don't even know where he goes. He needs to figure out something because I don't want to see him in matches against Dolph Ziggler forever. But Randy Orton as a number one contender, whatever. I was reading something about this potentially going through Survivor Series. That would not surprise me. But again, who really cares? So with that in mind, that is the end of tonight's show. Talked about everything I wanted to talk about from professional wrestling. As I said, my name is Raphael Garcia. You can catch me at rgarcia_sports on Instagram and Twitter. MMA Ratings is our platform. It is our flagship, MMAratings.net, where all of our written content goes. You can also catch us on Instagram and Twitter at MMA Ratings.net. YouTube, MMA Ratings on YouTube, where you can find all of our podcasts. And you can also check us out on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple iTunes, and Breaker Radio as well. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this show. Be safe over the weekend. I hope you are enjoying the long weekend as I am. Grill some food, wear your mask, Tell your people that you love them. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. Man, Bullet Bob Armstrong. Rest in peace to him. Rest in peace to Cliff Robinson. Rest in peace to Coach Thompson. So many people passed in this past week. So tell your people that you love them while you still can. But I'm Raphael Garcia, R Garcia _sports. Stay safe, everyone.